What's up everybody, this is BR and today I want to give you my opinions on arenas, pretty much Apex's failed alternative game mode. Now originally I was just going to make a simple video, but I thought that this would be a great opportunity to play the game mode again in order to understand what I exactly didn't like. Not to mention that I was requested to give my opinions on it on my previous Apex video. And well, I always wanted to give my 2 cents on it ever since its inception, especially since I was pretty hyped about arenas. So without further ado, let's talk about the Apex Arenas experience. Now before I begin, let me give you a little bit of background on arenas, because let me tell you, I was actually a huge fan of arenas when it first came out, and I was actually hyping it pretty hard before it even released. For whatever reason, I was getting really burnt out on Apex Legends Battle Royale. I don't know, it was something about the season that just didn't feel well. Not to mention that I had also played Titanfall 2 around this time, as well as the multiplayer of Titanfall 2. So I was itching for that organized PvP experience, especially since I enjoyed Apex's style with not focusing so much on abilities and really focusing on gunplay, putting it in front of the gameplay compared to something like Overwatch. So seeing that Apex was going to get a permanent new game mode that focuses so much more on combat was really exciting for the time. At first we all thought it was just going to be a standard team deathmatch mode, but what got revealed in the Season 9 trailer was something completely different. What had appeared in the trailers was something of a mix between Counter-Strike and the signature Apex Legends Battle Royale experience. And at the time we all thought that the game mode was going to be designed to capture that final ring moment where 2 teams face off head to head. With no other distractions and nowhere to run, you really had to focus on your gunplay. And with a currency system that pretty much went well with looting, it appeared to be something very unique and honestly really interesting. And I was all for it, and I was excited that finally Apex was gonna get another mode and it would no longer just be a battle royale. Especially since I had some friends that I wanted to play Apex with since it had just so much better gunplay than many other games. However, they're just not a fan of battle royales. I thought that this mode would be that mode to finally bring them in and finally show them the light of the gunplay focused gameplay style. Not to mention that we were getting a lot of content for arenas on launch. Sure, some of the POIs in Battle Royale were being recycled, but at the very least we also got some brand new maps for arenas, which definitely built up a lot more hype. The future was really bright for arenas, and on that launch day, I was just so excited to finally try it. And when I finally loaded on that first match of artillery, I was sold. No third parties, a focus on strategy and economy, and exciting fights. Truly, the early days of arenas was great. And that's usually what happens to a lot of games on launch. The earliest days of a game are usually the brightest, not because it was better, but because people didn't really know how to play. So a lot of the glaring issues that would appear later in arena's life cycle would not show up until the ranked season and then some, where players would try to find the best strategy to play the game mode in, from min-maxing weapons and legends, to finding exploits and realizing which weapons truly were overpowered. So while we like to believe that these early days of arenas were just hands down the best era of arenas, we really have to admit that it was really more of a honeymoon period. People were just happy that they got something big and brand new from Apex. Something that wasn't a battle royale, and especially something that was more permanent than an LTM. And let me tell you, this did attract a lot of my friends to finally start trying Apex, even though they didn't like the battle royale. But ironically, in time, arenas would just become so disenfranchising that my friends would actually start playing Battle Royale because it was a much better experience. Kinda weird how that works, doesn't it? Now with Season 10 came the Arenas Ranked Season. And this is where all the problems just started to show up. And this is where the analysis finally begins, because now we can contrast that early era with this new era where it just went downhill, took a nosedive, and now Arenas is just seen as this second child, where Apex is always going to be a battle royale, and arenas is seen as nothing more than a failure. So when looking at the game mode in retrospect, what did we miss? What were the glaring issues that were just super apparent at the time? I think the most notable thing that we really have to focus on is the fact that Arenas was never going to get the support that Battle Royale was getting. Outside of things that were arena exclusives, the developers made it clear that they were not going to update arenas in any way that would affect the Battle Royale game mode. That meant no exclusive legend abilities or anything like thereof. And this came out because one of Pathfinder's abilities was noticed to be completely useless. Pathfinder's Recon was useless because there were no survey beacons on arenas maps. And fans really wanted an additional ability somehow, but again, Respawn said that they wouldn't give anything exclusive to arenas. Apex Legends is a Battle Royale game first, and whatever the fuck arenas is second. So it's really not surprising that arenas was gonna suffer in the long term, since Respawn wasn't gonna give it the same love and attention as Battle Royale. There weren't gonna be any major reworks or anything that would actually fix the mode, just band-aid fixes here and there with some changes in prices and a map rotation. But let's say that they did get lucky then. Let's say that for whatever reason the balancing of arenas was perfect from day one and we just didn't know it. What other big issue came out in arenas when Ranked launched? Well, the ranking system is another thing, and I think this is what really spoiled it for a lot of people playing the game. Just like with Battle Royale, you also have the option to play either solo or with a squad on arenas. Which is fine and dandy on Ranked Battle Royale because even if you're a solo member against an organized team, if you get some kills and assists during the match, you still get rewarded with ranked points. If for whatever reason the matchmaking screws you over, which it tends to do a lot, and gives you some teammates that are bots or enemies that are way above your skill level, you can mitigate that pain by gaining some RP through performing very well and getting some kills here and there. You might not go positive, but at the very least, you're not completely screwed over by getting negative 36 RP because of a matchmaking system you have complete no control over. And that's why I like the Apex rank system compared to so many other games, because carrying was rewarded heavily, and it almost felt fair. If you can hold your own against players of equal or greater rank, even if you lose, then maybe you do deserve to stay in that rank. And that's honestly what I thought the ranked system was going to be for arenas, and I was extremely excited. Or at least I was, until ranked arenas finally came, and instead of using the RP system that Battle Royale used, they decided to go with an ELO system. Okay. I thought maybe this isn't gonna be that bad. You know, with less players on a lobby, maybe the matchmaking system would be good enough to determine player skill that an ELO system really is necessary and won't cause frustration like any other game. But as we all know, arenas wouldn't be as unpopular if this was the case. Let me start off by saying that the solo experience for arenas is one of the worst experiences of all time, only exacerbated by the low player count of arenas. The issue does not have to do anything with the quality of matches. Whether or not you get teammates that are good, teammates that are bad, enemies that are good, enemies that are bad. What really makes arenas a pain in the ass to play is the ELO system. It makes grinding out ranked arenas one of the most frustrating and unrewarding experiences imaginable. Now let me ask you a question. Which match do you think deserves the biggest difference in AP once a match finishes? That means how many points should a player receive or lose when they win or lose a match? The match that is a complete roll that finishes in just 3 rounds, or the match that goes down to sudden death? Which do you think that the Apex system matchmaking system considers more deserving of points? You know what the answer is? It's neither. To the eyes of the matchmaking system, these matches are the same. What if, for whatever reason, compared to the rest of the lobby, you got a lot of damage and points? Don't you think you deserve a little bit more AP because, well, you're not fit for that lobby that the matchmaking system gave you? Well, again, too bad, that doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is your win rate. That's right, the factor that is most influenced by a bad matchmaking system is what ultimately determines whether or not you're going to be playing nail biters or complete rolls. That means if you're not consistently winning, no matter your performance, how well you do in a particular match, or if you get a shitty lobby, your AP rate will slow down significantly. So very good luck trying to play solo Apex ranked, where the variability of your teammates and the enemy is completely out of your hands. Tough shit if you get screwed over by the matchmaking system and get a teammate that's less than desirable. That one loss is gonna skew your AP, and no matter how well you do in a match, no matter how hard you try, no matter how much you dominate the enemy team, if you end up losing, you will screw up your win-loss, and well, you might as well just not play. And this goes the other way as well. Because winning is the only factor there, you can have someone who's complete dog shit at the game by two friends who just happen to have a lot of skill, or even cheaters, which actually is very common in Apex arenas, which means that having an arena's Apex Predator badge means dick. Just like how the 4K and 20 bomb badge has been ruined by players boosting, ranked arena badges are also just as worthless. Which definitely shouldn't be the case. A game mode that focuses more on mechanical skill rather than just camping in a corner until the third ring should definitely have a lot more weight compared to the Battle Royale. But that's not the case. That's literally just how the matchmaking system is structured. And if you just think that this experience is just that way because of the environment of Apex arenas, think again. This is how it is designed. When you're doing your placements and even your early matches, you will be either rolled or rolling the enemy team because that is how it is designed. So not only is the ranked system unrewarding, it's also unfair, and it is done so on purpose. How can you expect players to put effort and time into a system that not only sabotages their experience from time to time, and also doesn't reward their skill gains? So all in all, this just causes a recursive loop where people have a shitty experience and stop playing, which causes other players to have a shitty experience because the matchmaking system doesn't have enough players to level out the playing field. And you know what's really surprising? The fact that we haven't even gotten to the gameplay issues of Apex arenas. Just the matchmaking system alone makes me want to stay away from it as much as possible. I would rather be playing Battle Royale where I feel like I'm getting rewarded for my efforts and not screwed over entirely by the matchmaking system. I get it, it's trying to be as fair as possible using tried and true methods. But man, does it just make the experience suck ass. And you know how I know? Because I played it. I played it again for this video, I finished my placements, and let me tell you, I've never felt so tired from a competitive experience. I have never gotten as frustrated with another game like this. And even when I won matches, I did not feel rewarded whatsoever. And to be frank, I would have rather played Overwatch. The quality of the matches were just so inconsistent. The wins were basically insignificant, and the losses were more than devastating. But I was able to trek through, because I knew that ultimately, it didn't mean anything. For the fans. But now I think it is the best time to transition into the gameplay issues of Apex arenas. But before we go listing them off, let's try to figure out what Respawn really wanted to do with this gameplay portion. As we all know from the Battle Royale, the most exciting part of the match is when we're at the final ring and it is time to really just show our skill. And I believe that that's what Respawn really wanted to capture and transform it into their own unique PvP gameplay. Which on paper, it actually is, but the execution was terrible. And let's start off with the most glaring issue with arenas, and that is balance. Like I said earlier in the video, the arena's balance was always going to be sabotaged because Respawn specifically said that there would be no arena-specific changes. Apex is a battle royale first, and one of the consequences here is that there is a huge imbalance with range. Because of the gameplay style of the battle royale, there is no fall off, something that is very common with PvP first-person shooters, where the farther the target is, the less damage a gun does, and some guns do way less damage than others at longer ranges, such as with shotguns and SMGs. However, Apex doesn't do this, mostly because in Battle Royale, people are usually far enough that the projectile bullet, it's slow enough that it doesn't actually hit its target all the time. Besides, it would always make opening moves very difficult. However, in arenas, this has a very different consequence, such as with the earliest rounds of arenas, where the wingman is honestly the best opening weapon merely because it always deals 45 damage, no matter the range. And with gray shields, the wingman can be a very effective killing weapon, only requiring really 3 to 4 hits to kill. Now, this is not necessarily a bad thing, of course, this is what we like about Apex. But honestly, I think that this really changes how people perceive the arena's gameplay to actually be like. In Battle Royale, you have a lot more opportunities to go face to face with the enemy because you have so many different vantage points depending on where the ring is closing. Compared to arenas where matches may actually drag on for a long time with players shooting at each other from medium to long range. And this is only promoted further by the arena's map design. So check it. This is how you design an Apex arena's map. First, you make 3 lanes, one on the left, one in the middle, and one on the right. The middle lane is going to be the lowest point of the map, This is the no man's land, where there's minimal cover and it is mostly flat. But most importantly, it is lower than the left and the right route. Then on one side you have two structures that are separated with a little middle area. These two structures act like houses, which are used by both teams as a safe haven, kind of like a fort where both teams will then shoot at each other from. On the other side, it is going to be very similar, except it's going to be a little bit more flat, still with plenty of cover to provide a safe haven for both teams, maybe with an extra route or two. And there you have it, you have every single Apex Arenas map right there. Except of course the POIs, but I'll get to that later. Notice that on every single Arenas map, no matter where the teams go, either left or right, against each other or away from each other, you're always going to have two fortified positions with a middle area separating them that is most likely a death sentence, while also promoting each team to shoot at each other from medium to long range. This is what I like to call Two Fort Syndrome, and if you look at this image of Two Fort, you can see why. What this means is that the aggressor is most likely going to be punished for being in the wrong position. If you move away from your little fort, you will always be at a cover and height disadvantage, which isn't an issue in Battle Royale because usually there's more than one squad. You can definitely catch an enemy squad by surprise, but that's not the case in Arenas, because in Arenas you're kind of always aware where the enemy team is, unless of course you have your sound muted. But I mean, who would do that? Now again, this isn't necessarily a bad thing. Some people prefer this kind of style of Arenas because it makes it a lot more tactical. But from someone who has played Battle Royale or even any other arena style game, this kind of change in direction with the gameplay style is completely jarring. And again, it makes the game extremely frustrating, where the most fun part of the game, which is active aggression, is heavily nullified. But all of this pales in comparison when you compare it to the economy system, arguably the most important part of Apex Arenas. When I first played Apex Arenas, I was extremely excited with the economy system. I treated it exactly the same as the Counter-Strike system, to the point where I was even trying to coordinate eco rounds, where in some rounds I would just only buy a pistol and immediately just go for the materials, hoping to come back in the latter rounds. But for whatever reason, the Apex developers really haven't given a crap about the economy system for a while now. Sure, they balance weapons here and there when they're considered overpowered, but nobody really gives a crap about it. By round 3, you can pretty much buy any equipment or weapons that you want. And because of the unbalanced nature of many of the weapons, where some weapons are objectively better than other weapons even without attachments, for no real difference in cost, the economy system is pretty much disregarded. You don't see strategic eco rounds or anti-eco rounds or anything like that. You just really buy the weapons that you really want or are overpowered and then win. That was pretty much my strategy during the placement matches, and it fared me pretty well. I would just buy the wingman for the first couple rounds, wait until I could get the Havoc with turbocharger, especially now with the buff, and I would do pretty alright with the enemy team. I didn't really care about my economy, I just tried to get what I could. I mean, if that was the purpose of the economy in Apex Arenas, then why include it in the first place? Why not just have predetermined loadouts? A lot of the potential strategy that could be available with that economy system is completely thrown out the window. So the one thing that really separated Battle Royale from Apex Arenas just doesn't matter. And they really expect us to have any kind of respect for the game mode. And so to summarize it, as far as gameplay goes, Apex Arenas really suffers from not having a balanced philosophy around it exclusively. Map design that promotes a different style of gameplay, arguably worse than Battle Royale, and its one unique feature is extremely underutilized. Put on top of that a matchmaking system which is unrewarding, feels unfair, and is extremely frustrating, and it's no wonder that Apex Arenas really just never took off. Or will ever take off, because as we've seen with many other things that EA or Respawn have done, if it's not successful or hugely profitable, then what's the point? I really do think that Arenas is just going to be kept on life support, or worse, retired. Which is a shame because Arenas as a concept and in a few moments of bliss really isn't that bad. When the stars align and everything goes as planned, it can actually be a very fun game mode. And I really do hope that in the future, they actually do improve upon it and don't just throw it away like some sort of failed project. But honestly, who knows? Only the future can tell. But now, I would very much like to hear from you. What is your opinion on Apex Arenas? Does it frustrate you? Does it make you mad? Or are you satisfied with arenas the way it is now? Do you think maybe it doesn't actually need any improvements and we're just all ungrateful fucks? Tell me your opinion in the comment section down below. If you like this video, like it if you like it, dislike it if you disliked it. If you'd like to see more content like this that is a lot more analytical, please consider subscribing, as that will tell me that this is the kind of videos that people want to watch. Thank you so much for watching and listening to my rant, and I will talk to you later.